Grand rising, grand arrival, grand return. Peace and blessings to the righteous and the repentant alike. I am Sophia the Bodhi, and we are here to discuss our calendar for October. I know everything on this screen is quite small, so I'll again, as usual, leave the picture in the community page so that you can screenshot it and zoom in. If you'd like a PDF and you're in our lunar working group, I'm going to put that in there. And also I'll be reactivating my Patreon so that all of the stuff that we do in this realm can go there, because it's a lot of stuff and there's no way that I can even with Telegram, really keep track of it in a way that's going to be useful. So that's how we're going to handle this, because it's just too much information to continue to piecemeal it here, piecemeal it there, and think somehow it's going to stay together, because I can't even keep it straight in my mind. So on this video, we don't discuss, or we will not be discussing transits. That's what I do with my solar, the Zolkin cycle videos. We're just going to go through. So if you want to know the transits up to the solar moon ends on, I can't even see the date. I think like the 16th or 17th. Oh, I'm sorry. The planetary moon starts on the 17th. So if you want to hear about the astrology all the way up until the 16th, you can go look at my, what moon is that? Oh gosh. You can go look at the solar moon video and we discussed that there. Sorry for all of the distractions, but we're going to try to move forward. So, of course, this month starts on, so first of all, let me go through some of the things that are on the screen. And when you zoom in, you'll be able to see it. So on the calendars now, I try to put the key. Okay. And so I just want to go over what these things mean a little bit, because I did it last month, but I had to add some more stuff. And more than likely, I'll have to add a few more things. So the first column is a degree at 6 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time in Mount Rainier, Washington, using the Krishnamurti calculation, which is a Vedic calculation. So eventually we'll talk about that, but that is a location of the Olympians. In my opinion, that's where they're located. That's where they are tied to. Now, they're tied to several locations across the planet. However, we're trying to activate them in our location. And this is kind of like the energetic battle that's going on. These people are trying to keep them tied to them when it's not for them to be tied to them. So we have to put them back in their proper place. Everybody's got to be put back in their proper place. Okay, so we the next column is, it says degree east, and that's the degree at 6 a.m. Eastern time using the tropical calculation. I also call this American Troy, so basically like DC. The first lunar, well, it's only one lunar, is the lunar day cycle, and that's starting on our lunar year, which started the day after the Pisces full moon. So that is the 28-day cycle from there. And additionally, you'll see in this column, there's so right now these are all solar calculations. Okay, so far we haven't really talked about any lunar calculations, except the fact that this, it says lunar, but it's the lunar mansion, not particularly the position of the moon, if I want to be more specific. Okay, so week 1 is always going to be in red, week 2 is going to be in blue, week 3 is going to be in black, which is really would be white hypothetically, and week 4 is going to be in yellow or gold. And so that's why in the lunar column and also in the T moon, the Tzolk'in moon column, you see that the months, the days have different colors. And so that's because every 7 days, there's another entity in charge. Also, there's another energy that comes along with that. And when we start discussing the scale, the various scales, then that will make more sense. But I have to include it on the calendar. So if you're following along, the first 7 day mansion, I did a video, I do believe, on the lunar mansions. I'll share it on my page if I can find it. Otherwise, I may have to do another one. Okay. So the next one is DOC, and that's the day of creation. So every 12 days, we are replaying the creation story. And the 12 has to do with, obviously, the 12 days of Christmas, because that whole cycle is basically replaying the days of creation. But also it has to deal with the ascending and the descending of the Olympians. So again, this is a solar calculation, okay? Now, the first lunar calculation we got on here is our kin number. That has to deal with the Tzolk'in. The Tzolk'in is a lunar cycle exclusively, okay? So I can't really go into a lot of detail about this right now, but I'm just saying that so you can start to understand. So as you see on here, it's highlighted in like a pinkish color, and that has to deal with our 13-day cycle. So we have a 28-day cycle, a 12-day cycle, a 7-day cycle, a 13-day cycle, multiple 7, 8-day cycles, and 9-day cycles. Okay, so it's not 8 days, it's 7 days and then 9 days. So we have lots of sevens, it's a lot of different cycles going on. And so sometimes you need, especially when you start to engage in like any kind of magical practice, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. Again, this will come into when we discuss our unity scales, or our scales. You'll need to know which cycle you need to use and why. And so anyway, that's why some in the kin number, you have some highlighted with the pink, some not highlighted. That's just to indicate the 13-day cycle. Okay. The TID is actually the Tzolk'in. If there's a ID day, which is like a galactic portal, which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this month, or if there's a tomb day, which if we have a tomb day, which we have 1 tomb day this month. So that's when we'll be making vows. So of course I'll keep you updated on that. But just to point out the vow day, the vow day is the great 8th day of our Feast of Sukkot. So that's very interesting for sure. The next column is the Tzolk'in moon cycle, and the color doesn't mean anything. I just did that to separate one month from another month, so you can tell where 1 month ends and 1 month begins. But you will see that there's blue, black, and red and stuff to indicate the 7-day cycles within the Tzolk'in cycle, because the Tzolk'in 7-day cycles are a little bit different than the lunar, as I have it listed on here, 7-day cycles, because the lunar mansion cycles have to deal with the Chinese zodiac, but the Tzolk'in cycles have to deal with something else, which we'll talk about later. So the Tzolk'in month, that's the T month. We start this month in the Tzolk'in month of 9 and we end it in 10. Of course, we have 31 days in this month. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Sabbaths. So basically like 5 weeks in this month. We have our Nun-day cycle, which is our market cycle, and then the weeks associated with that, and then the personal numerology. So again, this month begins at 14 degrees of Virgo on Mount Rainier with the Krishnamurti, 8 degrees of Libra in our American Troy Eastern Standard Time in basically DC. The lunar day that we start with is day 23. It's the 11th day of creation. The kin number is 200. And I want to point out that from this point, it's 60 days until we start our new cycle. So about 30 days out, I will be announcing what that's going to look like, how we're going to do that. I'll have a better idea. I have a slight idea now, but I need a little bit more time to work on that. It's not a galactic portal day. It's day 13 of our Tzolk'in moon cycle, which is in week 2. The Tzolk'in month is 9. The date is obviously October the 1st. It's a Wednesday. It's a 6 market day, week 22, and the numerology for the day is actually 1, which is quite fascinating, being that it's the first day of the quote-unquote American month. And I don't know if that happens every month. I can't remember if that happened last month, but it would be interesting to point out. So we have our full moon taking place in Aries, and that will be the last day / first day of our next moon cycle. Now, I'm not going to, it's too complicated. I just know that sometimes the full moon day, because this calendar is based at 6 a.m., sometimes the full moon happens before 6 a.m., sometimes it happens after 6 a.m. And that's the reason, that would make the difference between whether there's the month starts on the day or if it starts on the next day, as far as the 28-day cycle is concerned for our lunar column on here. So as we get deeper into this, we'll go into more detail of that. But before, the Feast of Sukkot, day 1, is on October the 5th, and that's 18 degrees of Virgo in Mount Rainier, 12 degrees of Libra in American Troy, day 27 of the lunar cycle. Day of creation is 3, kin is 204. The Tzolk'in moon cycle is day 17, which is in the white week. Obviously the 9th month. October the 5th in our Gregorian calendar. Day 1 of the market cycle, day 1 of the market cycle, week 23, and personal 6th day. So that's our first day of Sukkot. Although, again, if you're in the morning, phase, then, it's just going to be a little bit different. We can't, the morning does not actually end until the 10th, which is crazy because on here I have the moon Genesis. This is another Tzolk'in cycle. Again, we'll be talking about these as we get closer to the thing, but it's amazing that our morning ends on the 10th, 10/10, and it's an 11 personal numerology day, which is insane. So somehow, some way, these things line up, and it's usually in weird ways. So the moon Genesis has to deal with the kin number. So again, we'll have to go over the kin, but that's neither here nor there. So we have our full moon on the 7th of October, 6th, 7th, depending on time zone, the Aries full moon. It's also the American nones. So again, remember with the calends, this is when you start, this is the day that you ask for whatever it is, okay? On this American cycle, this Gregorian cycle. And then the nones, when things should start to show up, is on the 14th. And then the is on the 7th, and then the Ides is on the 14th. Because this is a full month, as they discuss in the Roman calendar, okay? So then we have our moon Genesis, like I said, it's on 10/10. The last day of the Feast of Sukkot is on the 12th, well, really the 13th. It's the 8th day, goes from 6 a.m. on the 12th to 6 a.m. on the 13th. The 13th is Columbus Day. I don't want to forget to mention our galactic portal days. I do have the short videos out for that to kind of synchronize everybody, and I don't know if I have all this information on there, but if they haven't been on the previous ones, they will be on the ones moving forward. And I can't remember if I made the one for the 4th or not yet. So if not, you'll start to see these with more information, with all this information on here. We also have a galactic portal day on the 11th of October, and also we have a galactic portal day with a vow day on this 8th day of the Feast of Sukkot. So it's going to be pretty important to have your vow ready. And we'll talk about that again as it gets closer, who we're taking vows to on this cycle. And as I mentioned, Columbus Day is on the 13th. The American Ides is on the 14th. You have the planetary moon cycle, which is a new Tzolk'in month that starts on the 17th. Then you have the Libra new moon that's on the 21st. But before that, we have a galactic portal day on the 19th. And so the last galactic portal day for the month happens on our Nones cycle, which is on October the 23rd. That is a Sabbath, so that's interesting how that actually lines up this time with the end of the the Gregorian calendar and the Tzolk'in, kind of having these cool synchronizations. Then our Ides of the Tzolk'in month are on the 30th of October, which is also a Sabbath. So that's quite interesting and fascinating as well. That's also an 8 market day, week 25 of the market cycle, and it's a personal day 6. So it's interesting how the first personal day 6 of this month is the Feast of Sukkot, and the last personal 6th day of this month is the Tzolk'in Eid. So there's definitely some very interesting connections going on here. I don't think we have any eclipses because we're out of that cycle now. I think that was a September thing. And so we're going to, continue to monitor this very closely and see kind of what happens. But I just always will make a video, usually more than a day before the start of the month. But this is just the kind of month that we're having. September was a very, very energetically powerful month. So I'll always make a video so that we can go through and point out any important things. I think the most important thing is going to be the one vow day that we have that also synchronizes with the 8th day of the Feast of Sukkot. So I'll be putting a lot of energy into determining how that's going to work. Now, I also know in November we have a Saturn direct fast, I think, coming up. So I'll try to get some information. That's usually a 22-day fast. And typically we use that to support the support Saturn as it does its thing, but also again mourn the loss of the 2/3. That's consistently tied into that energy. So I hope this all meets you all well. Shalom, peace and blessings, and we'll see you in the next video.